Going to do and how they're going to see it. It's their government.
Echevarria is now being held in custody. His sentencing is scheduled for March 3rd. Tonight, the search continues for the driver who hit and killed a bicyclist and kept driving in Charlotte County. It happened on Riverside Drive. Florida Highway Patrol says they have the Ford F-150 that the person was driving, but they ask if you know anything, dial star FHP. One neighbor says it's one thing for a driver to hit a bicyclist, but it's what happened next that's a shocker.
I think I'm more mortified that the person that did it didn't do anything except run away.
She also says she hopes the county will consider adding lights and bike lanes to Riverside Drive to make that road safer. And a Port Charlotte father is using grief as fuel for his mission to prevent childhood drowning deaths. Paul DeMello lost his one-year-old twins in a pool accident in 2010. Well, in the years since then, he started an organization to help educate parents about these incidents and how to prevent them. He teamed up with other local agencies in Collier County for an education vigil at Vanderbilt Beach. The group honored children who died over the past year, and they also provided resources for parents who wanted to learn how to protect their kids from that same fate.
If you're having a pool party or family gathering, designate an adult to be the water watcher. And also, if your child is missing, the first place that you need to look is the body of water.
For more information on how to protect your kids, you can visit our website at fox4now.com. And what looks like an empty lot will soon be home to a new hotel that's walking distance from Hertz Arena in Estero. The Hoffman family purchased the arena last year and has plans for expansion. Future development includes an estimated 150-room hotel and a small conference center. David Hoffman, chairman of Hoffman Family and Companies, says as a developer, he sees the opportunity due to growth in the village of Estero.
It's going to be 150 units, we think, at this moment in time. It could expand from there, maybe to 200. We are going to have a small conference center, and we're going to hopefully tie that in with the university if they want to be involved, and all indications are that they want to be involved.
And Hoffman predicts this project will be completed within the next 18 months. And today marked the start of the Cape Coral Art Festival, Art and Music Festival. Coming up, we'll tell you how one artist used his skills to help a local ice cream shop. That's coming up on Fox 4 News at 10. Lauren.
All right, Shari, and taking a look here, you can see our Storm Smart Skycam showing you a nice live view of Tarpon Point Marina. It was a breezy day. If you were out on the boat, we had a small craft advisory. Will that continue for tomorrow? I'll tell you if you have boating plans, everything you need to know coming up.
The Cape Coral Arts and Music Festival returns this weekend with over 300 exhibitors, and beyond displays of photography and sculptures and even some live music, we found a couple artists using their talents to help a local ice cream shop. Our photographer, Kurt Tremper, sharing a sweet story of art and community.
We opened the doors in very early July, right around the 2nd of July.
You guys want to try anything?
It's obviously primarily an ice cream store. We use Love Boat Ice Cream, which is a regional heavyweight. We opened the doors. We've had a little trouble with recognition and people finding us.
A lot of people don't know that this is here unless you're familiar.
People who were looking for us, and sometimes they tell us they drove around the block 2-3 times before they knew where to turn in. So there were some challenges that we had to overcome. So we thought the mural would be eye-catching for people driving by and plant the seed that we are an ice cream store.
Our ensemble originated with, we were actually doing pop-up art shows. Also, our ensemble is like, there's more than one of us. Like, it's Cesar and I's company, but we have like a team of local artists, so we can pretty much conquer, you know, any type of job. From statues to sculptures to creations. Again, like if you can dream it, we can create it.
Well, they submitted a bunch of ideas, okay, and some of them were really cool, but didn't really tie into ice cream.
It was a chunk of cement that nobody paid attention. Nobody knew where the ice cream was, but now they're gonna see, where the bright colors are. So now it's an icon in the area. It's a dreamland of ice cream and sweets.
It's very festive, it's very bright colored. It'll catch the eye coming from the West Cape.
Before it was just white. Now it's got beautiful colors on it. That is really awesome. Good job.
I mean, already, you know, the whole town's talking about the mural.
When do you think the finished product will be? Can't rush an artist. You know that, right?
How you guys doing?
It's fantastic. This is what Cape Coral is all about.
Art helps, you know, the whole community, and it brings tourists down here too.
Thank you. It was absolutely wonderful tasting. It was great.
We hope to grow, be part of the community, and really just enjoy our time here.
Art helps, and it looks awesome. If you'd like to check out the mural for yourself, the artists tell us it will be complete tomorrow. And also the festival fun continues through tomorrow as well, starting at 10 a.m. A middle school book about a transgender child is sparking controversy among some Florida parents. The book, titled Lily and Duncan, tells the story of a transgender student suffering from mental illness. Well, the book was written by a South Florida author. It was published in the Palm Beach County School District. It's been used for several years as part of the Diversity and Tolerance Unit, which is required by state standards.
It's okay to have these conversations with your kids because they're living in the world, and this is not something that you can hide them from.
But however, parents of the students say they wish they were made aware of the classroom reading before their students were given the book. They say topics like sex education require consent forms, and they think topics like mental illness and gender identity should be treated in the same way. Well, people right here in Southwest Florida and across the state sending a message to Governor DeSantis and the state legislature to ban fracking. This man bringing the message outside the courthouse in downtown Fort Myers. Fracking uses high pressure to drill for oil and gas, and environmental and health advocates say it's a polluting process that's threatening our water. Well, the fracking industry claims it is safe. The governor and the Republican legislator have resisted bills calling for a fracking ban.
And check out these temperatures, Shari, right now. Looking, well, a lot cooler than they were earlier this afternoon. Right now, most of us are around 70 degrees. Some areas a little over, like Golden Gate at 77. But take a look at today's highs. Most of us in the mid 80s to upper 80s. We had quite a few places that set a record high for today. That includes Fort Myers and Naples, both at 87 degrees. Really, the average this time of the year should be in the mid 70s. So it was hot out there. We were telling you about other places across the country that are dealing with what's left of this front. You could see it is getting just a little bit weaker, but we showed you some damage left behind it. We also have some snow in certain areas too, like in St. Louis and also Chicago. Headed down closer to where it is at the present moment. The Panhandle getting a little bit of rain. Also Georgia and the Carolinas. You see those boxes. Those are severe storm warnings and also tornado warnings, or watches, I should say. As for us, that front really not going to make it to us here in Southwest Florida. That's because we have a ridge of high pressure. It's a lot closer to Bermuda, but it's really going to push more cloud coverage into our area, and it's also what's kind of making it feel so warm outside, and that's a trend we'll see continue tomorrow as well. 24-hour forecast shows you tomorrow we're going to have highs in the mid 80s. Again, take a look at all of that sunshine. Again, we are going to be well above that average high of 74 degrees. Tomorrow, not a bad day to maybe cool off at the beach or maybe head out on the boat. Your Ingman Marine boating forecast shows we're going to have that wind out of the southeast between 5 and 10 knots. Offshore seas 2 feet or less, a light chop on the inland water. Now today we were breezy, and we also had that small craft advisory that expires later on tonight, but something that could happen tonight and carry over into tomorrow is some sea fog in the early morning. So if you are headed out on the boat, do watch out for that. The predictor does show as we move into Sunday, you could see that front kind of stalls to the north of us, and then it does dissipate. Predictor shows tomorrow will start off pretty dry, but the only difference between today and Sunday is going to be our rain chances. As we head into the late afternoon, early evening, a shower or two coming out of the east, not completely out of the question. And then Monday, your commute should start off relatively warm and also dry. Check out this 7-day forecast. A lot of sunshine and warm temperatures will continue. Again, that's due to that area of high pressure. So tomorrow, a 20% chance of rain. That's going to be in the afternoon, early evening. Highs close to 83 degrees. Overnight low is going to be close to 70 degrees. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you could see continuing into your work week. Temperatures are going to be warm around 84 degrees, and that trend sticks around, well, into next weekend.
Coming up next, tensions continue between the U.S. and Iran. Coming up, we'll take a look at new sanctions rolled out by the Trump administration. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
Purchase allowance.
It's been more than a week after that deadly strike against an Iranian general and days after Iran's retaliatory strike against Iraqi bases. The Trump administration formally rolling out more sanctions against Iran. Lauren Blanchard is reporting.
We will continue to apply economic sanctions until Iran stops its terrorist activities and commit that it will never have nuclear weapons.
President Trump signed the executive order imposing additional sanctions against Iran Friday afternoon. In a statement, he says it follows through on his promise to deny Iran substantial revenue that may be used to fund and support its nuclear program, missile development, terrorism, and terrorist proxy networks and malign regional influence. And the sanctions are imposed against any individual or entity operating in the construction, manufacturing, textiles, or mining sectors of the Iranian economy. The sanctions also target 8 key Iranian officials.
That's the regime's brute squad.
This as there appeared to be some disconnect between the president and his top diplomat on the specific and imminent threat Iranian General Soleimani posed before he was killed.
We don't know precisely when, and we don't know precisely where.
We will tell you that probably it was going to be the embassy in Baghdad.
On Friday, Secretary Pompeo revised his comments, which hasn't satisfied all lawmakers.
Those threat stream included attacks on U.S. embassies. Period. Full stop.
This is the first time we're hearing about attacks on embassies, future attacks on embassies.
Fox has confirmed a separate drone strike was launched on another Iranian military official the same night Soleimani was killed. That strike, however, was not successful. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Lauren, thank you. And straight ahead, Iran says they are at fault for a Ukrainian airline passenger flight that crashed Wednesday. Coming up, we'll tell you how Iran is now showing remorse. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10. That's huge. Tonight, there is a new push to ensure transparency when it comes to the cost of your medication. 2 state lawmakers filed Senate Bill 1724. Now, this creates a prescription drug affordability commission to review increases in drug prices. The bill also prohibits those companies from dropping coverage for the nearly 4 million Floridians who have pre-existing conditions. And while in Tallahassee, the National Agriculture Secretary had a lot to say about the new trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. Sonny Perdue was here to talk timber, but he also advocated for a deal that's awaiting final approval from the Senate. Perdue says the deal will help the economy with new jobs and market growth for agriculture. But critics say it's simply a repackaging of NAFTA with very little improvement. Perdue disagrees.
How can you look at me and say that it's no changes based on an agreement that was done before the internet even developed?
Now, some farmers say it does little to stop produce dumping. That's when countries like Mexico flood the American market with cheaper fruits and vegetables. But Perdue says the U.S. is working with Mexico to address this issue. And a Florida man has admitted to purposefully running over a veteran and is facing charges tonight. Pasco County deputies arrested this man, Justin Pennell. Deputies say he was driving when he made a U-turn and intentionally ran over a 75-year-old Army vet walking along the side of the road. Deputies say Pennell told investigators he'd been planning to kill someone for months. He's now facing charges of premeditated murder. A maintenance worker at a Pensacola hospital is facing child cruelty charges tonight. According to the police report, Kevin Douglas attacked a 13-year-old patient. It says Douglas was on the floor fixing holes in the wall caused by the victim. Then they tell us Douglas reportedly confronted the teen, shoved him inside of a room, got on top of him and smashed his head into the floor. It's just awful. The mother of the patient says her son was traumatized.
Seeing someone in a white uniform or wearing white just put him in fear. You know, he's constantly checking the doors and windows to make sure everything's locked.
She says she discharged her son and took him to another hospital the next morning. The hospital says Douglas was immediately terminated. The search is on tonight for a man accused of shooting and killing a Lakeland man, get this, over a stolen horse. Polk County Sheriff's deputies say the victim, Henry Fernandez Soto, was shot on Wednesday night and he later died at the hospital. Deputies believe a man named Celso Acosta is the shooter. They say Acosta and Fernandez Soto were arguing for weeks over a possible theft of a horse. The suspected shooter, Acosta, could be driving a white 1999 Ford F-250 with a Florida tag LBFN70. If you know where he is, you are asked to call police. And police are charging a man with murdering a teacher after they found him driving her car. Now, this man has a long criminal history, and one woman who had a run-in with him in the past is sharing her experience tonight. Erica Vanier has that story.
Less than an hour after Jacksonville police named 27-year-old Zebulon Perkins as the suspect who murdered 49-year-old Vivian James by strangling her to death, a woman who says she allowed Perkins to rent a room in her home says she could have been killed by him. She agreed to speak with us if we didn't identify her. She says she felt bad when she learned James died by strangulation.
That could have been me being strangled in my sleep and being scared to go to sleep with that man in my house.
She says back in 2018, she met Perkins online. She says he needed a place to stay, and so she allowed him to rent a room in her home if he paid rent every week. She says he lived in her home for 2 weeks and never paid his rent, but was causing problems by bringing women into the house and getting into confrontations with them. So she tried to put him out.
The threat that I got was if I came back home that he was going to kill me, he was going to shoot me, and my house was going to be empty. And when I did come back home, my house was very empty. I had no bedroom set, no nothing in my house.
She says she called police and Perkins was later arrested. Fast forward to December 28th of last year, Perkins, who has a criminal history of violence, is once again facing a felony. This time it's murder, and his alleged victim is a beloved science teacher who taught at Atlantic Coast High School.
Taking a look around the world tonight, Iran says it is at fault for a Ukrainian airline passenger flight that crashed on Wednesday after takeoff from Tehran's airport. That crash killed 176 people, and Iran calls it, quote, a disastrous mistake that was made in response to, quote, U.S. adventurism. Melissa Rainey has the latest.
Iran admitting it mistakenly shot down a Ukrainian Airlines flight Wednesday, killing all 176 people on board. The crash came hours after Iran fired missiles at Iraqi military bases housing U.S. troops. That move in retaliation for a U.S.-ordered drone strike at the Baghdad airport that killed Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani. Iran's foreign minister tweeted Saturday, quote, human error at time of crisis caused by a U.S. adventurism led to disaster. Our profound regrets, apologies, and condolences to our people, to the families of all victims, and to other affected nations. One of those affected nations, Canada. 63 Canadians were on board Flight 752.
What Iran has admitted to is very serious. Shooting down a civilian aircraft is horrific. Iran must take full responsibility.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada will assist in the crash investigation. He says both Canada and Iran are committed to bringing closure to the victims' families.
I reiterated to President Rouhani that it is absolutely necessary that Canada participate in this investigation. We expect the full cooperation of Iranian authorities.
Trudeau says members of Canada's Standing Rapid Deployment Team are expected to arrive Saturday to assist the families of Canadian victims. I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
And speaking of Canada, an anti-war rally was held outside of the U.S. consulate in Winnipeg. It comes after the U.S. drone strike and that deadly plane crash in Iran. The protesters opposed any participation by Canada so they won't, quote, further U.S. aggression against Iran. They also opposed the presence of NATO military forces in Iraq. The protest is part of a day of action called for by the Canadian Peace Alliance. And as if Puerto Rico hasn't seen enough, earlier this morning, a magnitude 5.9 shock hit the island's southern coast. This as people who live on the island are still recovering from previous earthquakes that shook parts of the country throughout the week. One of those quakes, the largest that has hit the island in an entire century. Tonight, about 59,000 people are without power and thousands continue to sleep outside. Well, North Carolina High School is lending a helping hand to Australia. AP art students at Oak Grove High wanted to show their support and raise funds for recovery efforts. So they've made stickers and T-shirts that feature their school's mascot, a grizzly bear hugging a koala bear. How sweet. Wildfires have been destroying that country. At least 27 people have died from fire-related deaths, and officials fear millions of animals have also perished in the flames. Good effort by those students. Well, still to come, one man has come up with the idea to put his smoke shop on wheels. Coming up, we'll tell you about a new way customers can purchase CBD and edibles. Lauren?
And what a beautiful sunset we had at Fort Myers Beach today. And the beach is where you wanted to be with those record highs that we had. Stick around, I'll tell you what tomorrow is going to look like. Will we see rain? Will it still be warm? All those details coming up in your full forecast.
Morgan & Morgan.
Taking a look at tonight's consumer report, the U.S. added 145,000 new jobs last month. That's 100,000 fewer than in November and about 40,000 less than the average over the past 3 months. Unemployment remains at 3.5%, which maintains the historic low. The retail industry did see an increase. It added 41,000 jobs for the busy holiday shopping season. Now, experts say as long as the economy adds 100,000 jobs each month, that's enough to keep up with population growth. New numbers show the top spot in the American workforce belongs to women. The Labor Department's latest data shows women holding just over 50% of jobs in December. During the last jobs period, women gained 139,000 jobs compared to 6,000 men. The last time women outnumbered men in America's job market was nearly 10 years ago. That's around the time of the Great Recession. Experts say growing sectors for women include education and healthcare. We'll take a look at this tonight. A new smoke shop functions kind of like an ice cream truck. It's mobile and it's convenient, and it's hitting the streets of Cincinnati. But instead of root beer floats and maybe like sundaes, Chris Riva shows us they're offering hemp, CBD, and edibles.
Nathaniel Brooks,
Yeah, this is brand new.
is not the ice cream man.
There's no one around the world that I know that's doing it.
His truck is a smoke shop on wheels.
I'm selling hemp out the truck, federally regulated and state regulated.
This is Low Blow Mobile, selling CBD and other smoke shop products.
I wanted to be able to bring the products to the people instead of having the people come out, especially for the CBD, because that's a medical product that helps the people that has pain and things like that.
Brooks has big plans with his business. It'll be part delivery truck and part food truck.
I'm going to the food truck events, special events downtown on Fountain Square. I can set up just like them guys. Oktoberfest, I'll pull down there and I can do the same thing.
He'll even let you flag him down, just like the guy he took the jingle from.
Concept of like the old school ice cream truck too. So I have the proper permits and everything, so if someone like waves me down, I can pull over and service them and keep going.
And it's worked.
Where's the ice cream man?
Catching the attention of Sam Meese in a matter of minutes.
It's the CBD man, I guess.
Meese thinks there's certainly a market for this.
I think it's really cool. I think there's a huge market for that right now. There's flower trucks, there's food trucks, so why not a CBD and munchie truck?
Brooks says he's received all the permits he needs to start rolling down the road, open for business on Saturday.
I'm like the first person to ever do this.
He's making history, and you know who else is making history?